introduce everything. I'm sorry, I'm not a natural teacher like Eric, but I'm gonna do my best. I spent 5 years working on this project. When I moved to Kyoto from Tokyo with my wife, we started about a year into living there. I started printing. My wife had built a dark room in her parents' house, colored dark room, and I started printing. And it took a lot. There was a learning curve to figure out like how to do it, how to get the colors right, the dodging and the burning, and all that time I was like thinking about what kind of project I want to do to kind of, build a name and reputation as a photographer. And I thought, well, I live in Japan, and I should do something about Japan and Japanese people that's never really been seen before. So so I started traveling all over from Hokkaido down to Okinawa. I would get the 5-day Jihachikibu. You can get a 5-day pass. You can travel anywhere in Japan for as much as you want, as long as it's not a Shinkansen or a limited express train. And as you can tell, I'm kind of into, I'm not into reality for myself as a photographer. I prefer, I wouldn't say necessarily it's a surreality, or surrealism, but it's something, I'm interested in in kind of creating a different, I wanted it to feel like another planet. Thus the name Sunlanders is like a play on the term Land of the Rising Sun. But Sunlanders kind of to me connotated a kind of tribalism, like a uniqueness that from another place or another time. I didn't want the images to feel like they were shot over a 5-year period, but I didn't want them to feel like they were from like 2011 to 2016. I wanted them to feel like kind of exactly. So I'm really a big believer in like you can as an artist you can do whatever you want. You can take the image like this. I mean you can take the image and it looks like this, but then if you want to print it and show everyone how you see it, you can turn it upside down. And this is a class on composition, so I'm going to just tell you some of my viewpoints on composition. A kind of a controversial position is cropping, and like Bresson is very adamant about no cropping, as you know. You see the black lines around his prints. I used to know Marilyn Mark, and she was very strong feelings about like no cropping. But to me, the way I see it is the only thing that matters in the end is the image itself. So if you take a wonderful picture, but let's say there's some girl giving me the peace sign here, I don't want her in the picture. I'm going to crop her out. And some of you probably have a strong idea about it one way or the other, but for me, I think what's most important is if you get a great image, but there's some kind of noise in it, I think it's best. It sounds like we got some kids upstairs.
Yeah, that's good. Don't worry about that.
I think all that matters in the end is the image. Like that is, to me, that is like, as a photographer, your relationship is to the image, not necessarily how it's done or how faithful you are to getting everything that you shot, because when you are taking the picture, you are already cropping, and as Angel said, like I think it was Angel. No, it wasn't you. It was who said it was Steve? Steve, right?
Steve.
Steve, you said I think it was you that said you have this 1 second where
No.
But that wasn't you. Who said that?
It was me.
Oh, it was Angel, the Zen master.
Yeah.
Zen master Angel.
So yeah, you have this 1 second, and when you guys know what it's like when you're shooting, you're walking in a crowded area, you're always looking, and then you see something, and you have a second to frame it. and sometimes like somebody walks into the frame that moment, and like, it's noise. And I mean, I shoot film, so I usually take one picture or two pictures or maybe three at the most, but usually just one. And if the shot is ruined, then if I can do something about it with cropping, then I do that. So not all of these are cropped, just a few of these, but I'm just thinking, I just want to encourage you, if you do have a good picture and you think it could be better by taking a little bit off the edge or something, then I encourage you.
Do you ever think too much cropping is too much cropping?
I don't know, it depends. I mean, I don't know if you guys could tell which of these has been cropped and which of these hasn't. So maybe if it was too much cropping, it wouldn't be in the book. But yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, please interrupt me anytime. Anybody.
You said that the most important thing is the end result.
Yes.
Isn't that
For me at least.
culturally attached sort of opinion? Because for the Japanese, for example, the end result matters, but what matters is the way they do it, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm speaking subjectively.
Right.
And of course, the way I do it, for me, is very important
Right,
too, because I'm shooting film, and then I'm making the prints in the darkroom. And but I think it's a bit of both, actually.
Mhm.
Like I think how you do it is very important. But
That should be reflected in the end result, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, these pictures wouldn't look like they did if I shot it with a different film,
Yeah.
if I shot it digitally, if I didn't print them. So of course it's important, like the process. But I think the most important thing is the image. I mean, if it's a fantastic iPhone picture, it's a fantastic iPhone picture. I'm not going to judge the image itself because it was shot on an iPhone. To me, it's like what matters is everything matters to the image. A painter will go over and over on his canvas until he has figured out exactly how his painting should be. He'll change the colors, he'll paint over and he'll paint over a person that was in the painting, and then he'll paint that person out. I think that's, I think in the end, it's all about making your image as great as you can. Personally, when I shoot, and maybe I should just pass this around.
Yeah, pass around the book.
Yeah, so this was printed in Italy, and it's published by a British house called Limoges. And what was I going to say? Sure, please.
Which one is your favorite?
Oh, yeah.
That's a tough question.
Well, they all have a story.
Right.
Oh, this is what I was going to say. Actually,
Right.
you led me back from my stray thoughts. I really think for me, a great picture is a picture that has a narrative.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean like something is happening in the picture, but that perhaps something is about to happen or something just happened. For example, I mean, all of these images that I took, and again, I believe in fortune. Like, I believe in luck. Like, I believe these are good pictures, but I also believe I was extremely lucky to get each one of them. Each one was right place, right time, because that's what street photography is. You go out for a walk with your camera, and you don't know what exactly is going to happen. I often go out shooting. I'll go out shooting for 2-3 hours, and I'll come back with 3 pictures. I just don't see it, especially when you're shooting in your hometown or wherever you live, and you're like, okay, I know that. I've seen this, I've seen that. It's like it's very easy to get to, not jaded, but you feel like uninspired. Yeah. So, but then sometimes you go out, and for me, I really believe it's like it's streaky. Like I see like something. Oh man, who's this guy? And I just sometimes I talk to people. I totally believe also in conversing with people. I'm not sure if you can tell which of these is like that. I talked to the people before I shot.
Did you talk to that one?
I didn't talk to her. No, I didn't.
That's a great shadow, by the way.
Yeah.
The one thing I love in that photo is the shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I put this one in because of the negative
yeah.
state, perceived. This was in Kanazawa, that's in that swimming pool. Yeah.
Can I ask, when you shoot, do you have a predominant way of looking through the viewfinder? Do you see horizontal, vertical?
I generally see horizontal. Yeah,
Yeah.
but lately I've been trying to see more vertical
Yeah.
because I don't want to be kind of trapped in that horizontal way of seeing.
So just to your point on cropping,
Yes.
my training was when I was doing wedding photography, and I was doing it with a Mamiya C330,
Yes.
no, C220. And so you had no parallax correction into a square roll film camera.
Yes.
And so you knew that people would want to see rectangular product,
Yes.
but you were shooting square. And
Yes.
so I always had to shoot with cropping in mind.
Yes.
So I find now that I can't, I have to crop.
Yeah.
And I'm typically portrait because of that training,
Yeah.
but I always think about the crop.
Well, also shooting portrait is good for magazines because most magazines are portrait size. So if you want to publish in magazines, I think it's good. I'm trying to actually shoot portrait more now, just to do like a completely different project with street and like people I'm encountering. But this one, for example, this guy, this is the only image from the book in Tokyo, in fact. And this guy, I saw him in that suit, and it was a very busy area, Tokyo Station, and I thought, I would love to shoot him, but if I shoot him now, I'm going to have an ugly advertisement in the background. And some people talking on their cell phone or doing that, and it was like, no. So I spoke with them. And I asked him politely to stand in front of the stairs. He's probably like, who's this long-haired white guy speaking to me and directing me? I just want to go home. It's Friday night. So he stands in front of the stairs, and then he just stood there, and I photographed him. And
Did you carry his jacket, the jacket that's 5 sizes too long for it?
yeah. That jacket caught my eye.
Yeah.
From a block away. I ran to him before he could get to the station. So before he could.
I like that you avoided my question.
Which one
is your favorite?
Oh, which one's my favorite? Oh yeah. I really do like this image, which is the first one in the book. It combines all the things I've just been talking about. This one actually is not cropped though. But this one, it has the narrative. Okay, well first off, I was lucky. I was going up to Ozore-san, which is at the very top of this island. It's where the Japanese believe the spirits of the dead go. A very trippy place if you guys can never visit. And I was stopping in this one horse town in Tohoku called Noheji. And I had 20 minutes, and I stepped outside, and the light was just amazing. And a woman, when I stepped outside, I saw a woman just get out. And she walked in, and I was waiting for someone to get back in. I thought I should have a person in the image, maybe it'd be more interesting. But then the door stayed open, and no one got in. And then that's when I took the picture, and I thought, okay, this is I love the fact the facades. There's nothing to suggest modernity or the contemporary corporate culture that we live in. And I love the fact that it's a taxi and the door is open, waiting for a passenger. So this is the opening image of the book. It's to me, when I was doing the photo book, of course I was trying to think of narrative as well. And it's a really interesting thing when you come from a writing background or when you come from any background and you're organizing your images and you're trying to find a story in the book. So first off, you have to decide which images tell the story you want to tell. And then you have to find a beginning, kind of middle, and end. And then, in a sense, you're putting together chapters in the book as well. And to understand how to do this, first off, I looked at as many photo books as I could. I would just look. I would go to shops. I buy a lot of photo books too, and my favorite ones, I would just go back. Again, I looked at them 50 times.
Which one are your favorites?
Some of my favorites are, I like a lot of black and white books actually, even though I only shoot in color. I love Trent Park's Minutes to Midnight. That was a really big inspiration. And I thought he was trying to do something similar with Australia. I love Jakob Holt, who is a Danish photographer. he was in America in the 70s, Nixon's America, selling blood to buy film, to take pictures, hitchhiking,
Oh, wow.
and staying in like sharecropper shacks in the South, and transvestites in New York, and he hung out with Ronald Reagan and Nelson Rockefeller. It was just this amazing portrait of America in the early 70s. And sidetracked. What was I?
So, other favorite color, any other favorite photo books?
Oh yeah, well, yeah. So those were two big inspirations, and there were many others, and then I was also, of course, if you guys do make a photo book, and if you find a publisher, that's wonderful. If you don't and want to self-publish, that's wonderful too. And when you do, if you do decide to make your own book, what you do is you print out the pictures, and you do a demo, and you just look and you're like trying to find a sequence. And the sequence sounds so mathematic, but it is kind of like a narrative that you're trying to put together. And one of the reasons I brought like some of these up, like okay, for example, this one. Can anyone tell what's happening in this image?
You put it on the table and
Any guess?
put it on the table and.
School trip visiting a museum.
Yeah.
It looks like Hiroshima.
Very good, yeah.
Is it Hiroshima?
It's actually Nagasaki.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the Atomic Bomb Museum
Yeah.
at Nagasaki. But I took this image from the cafe table. I was having a sandwich and a coffee, reading a book. I was actually a little bit upset that day because when I got to the Atomic Bomb Museum, there were like thousands of school kids, and they were just blah 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 blah, like no one being respectful. And I even complained to the staff. I'm like, this is ridiculous. You should time it better so that people actually get a better experience with like understanding what happened. And so I was kind of in a bad mood, and I went through it, and I felt sad, and then I got a sandwich and coffee, and then again, always have your camera ready, and because you never know, like, oh my God, that's the moment, like something happens. So. I've
Oh, yeah.
more to say, but does anyone have any questions so far?
Or can you maybe go through the photos and just kind of tell the story and how you compose them?
Maybe
Or
ask Bob.
yeah.
When you say that you like a photograph to have a narrative,
Yes.
do you test that narrative on other people to
Well-
see whether they're seeing what you're seeing, or does that
Well,
do you not worry about
good
that?
question. I think it's very, very, very important to have someone you trust whose taste and judgment and aesthetic you trust inherently, who will say, no, this doesn't work. You can do a better print, or this image, maybe you have a similar one, you can use the other one. And for me, that was my wife, who is like,
It could still be a good image, but it may not convey.
Yeah. It's like there were a lot of images that were very good, but they didn't fit into the aesthetic and the narrative I wanted to create. And I think that's hard, but you have to. A lot of it is intuition. You have to listen to your gut. Like your gut is right a lot. And if there's any kind of doubt that you have, that doubt is very real, and you need to follow it. So, I whittled it down I have hundreds of prints from Japan, but I whittled it down to 48. For me, I had a designer I hired a designer for the book, but neither the designer nor the publisher, they told me what to do. I decided on the sequencing. So, yes.
And then how long was just the selection process? So you had a couple hundred shots, I suppose, already
Yes.
pre-selected.
I'd say probably about. I'd
Because
say.
you said it has taken you 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So
I'm a very slow shooter. I'm still using expired film, discontinued film that doesn't exist anymore. And so every time I take a picture, it's like, forgive my French, petit mot, it's like a little bit of death, and okay, it's one fewer picture I have to shoot with this aesthetic, and this aesthetic that I have, it's countdown. Maybe there's only one company that makes color slide film still. Fuji still does, but I don't like their film. So there's only so much time I can do this aesthetic.
So the selection was how long?
The selection, so I had like about probably 80 pictures, and then I whittled it down to about 50 when I I went to London to find a publisher to pitch the book. And when I got back, I still was taking pictures. I found new pictures to include, and it was probably whittled down from 70 to 50. Like a lot of them, like I just thought right away, intuition. No, like, I want, it's my first book. I wanted it to be my best work, and of this particular subject. So.
Yeah. Can you go through the individual images and just talk
Yeah,
about
yeah,
the story
yeah.
behind the photos and the
All the
composition?
prints from the book. If anyone wants to see a specific print from the book, I can take it out too. Could everybody tell what's happening here? There's like looks like there's a dead person floating in the. No, that to me is what I was on the beach in Suma, which is near in Hyogo, near Kobe, and it's a kind of a lame beach. Lots of loud, bad music. What's wrong with the sound of the ocean, people? Right? Like so much loud music, a lot of tattooed guys. I went there because there's these like bodybuilders, and I wanted to photograph, like Japanese bodybuilders. And I got a good one, but it wasn't perfect, so I didn't put it in the book. But I was walking along the beach, and I saw this guy floating next to this. And again, like, I don't know what you guys are attracted to, but whatever you're attracted to, make sure you're open to what you're not attracted to, but like definitely follow through on that. Because I saw these guys, and I like the goggles, and they look kind of like twins to me. So I just hustled it to the water, and I did talk to them, so that's why they're looking at me. And then I framed it so that I could have this guy in the water as well.
Nice.
So I talked about this one. Did you guys?
That's my favorite.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Does anyone know what's happening or?
It's Matsuri.
Yes. It's the Matsuri in Aomori, the Nebuta Matsuri. They've got these giant demonic floats that they parade for 7 days. And I got there the last day. It was raining. It wasn't ideal shooting light, but I was walking down the sidewalk, and I walked past like this old age home, and all these women were laughing at me because like they didn't like my
The
hair.
show is behind, right?
And the parade was behind, and so I photographed. I saw the reflection. I'm like, this is too good to be true. So I photographed them, and I think this was the only picture I took. But the different facial expressions were. I mean, sometimes again you get lucky, and I think I got lucky. This was an extremely difficult print to make. It took several days, like hours and hours and hours, making like imperfect prints because I had to keep exposing. This is technical. I kept having to expose the paper to create the different shades so that it would be a balanced image. So that's the story of this one. I talked about these two. This one, I talked a little bit about, I saw the scene like this. And again, I was coming out of a tea house in a garden near Kyoto, and I was like, oh my God, like I see the reflection, but I don't see them. This is so cool. So I shot as fast as I could, and then when I was looking, when I made the print, I thought, it looks so much better like this, because they look like ghosts. And if you've seen the book, there's a very much like a spectral, a ghostly element to the images. Like, again, I'm trying to create kind of like an otherworldly kind of feeling, like an underworld kind of feeling. And I thought, oh, this is just perfect. I mean, like right away, like I knew like this was going to be a part of the book. And again, you've probably seen, I really love reflections. And I was walking, this is like, again, like, this is of course common sense, but this is like a, 3-minute walk from the studio, this phone booth. And I was walking out with my son and, pushing the stroller, and I'm like, all right, hold on a second, because I could see the reflection. And, again, I can't explain it any more than it's good. Like an old woman in a kimono, I can see like the tree growing through her. I can see her face here. I can't see it here. Like, it's just too good to be true. This one is as who said guess Kanazawa?
Somebody else
Yeah.
said.
This is Kanazawa. This is an installation in a 21st century museum. It's a wonderful, Kanazawa is a wonderful city. If you have time, please go. It's like Kyoto, but much, I don't know, they built a new Shinkansen there, but there are a lot fewer tourists, and the museum is amazing. This is a permanent installation. It's like again, it's like, if you don't know Japan, you're like, what the heck is going on here? But it's a swimming pool. And a fake one, yeah. With like the top layer is like kind of water being kind of rinsed over, so it's like rippling above you. It's a really cool place. And there's another image from that swimming pool with the hands reaching out to the school kids. And this one is in Beppu, which is in Kyushu. It's like an old Showa era, like 1980s bubble era hotel. And I saw the light around 4:30 in the afternoon, 4 p.m. November. It was just beautiful, the lights, and he was kind of, he's kind of reluctant about me loitering, but sometimes you just have to persist. For me, if I take a picture and someone gets upset and angry, I tend to have that negative feeling with that image, and I don't do anything with the image. So that's just me, like if someone's like, it doesn't happen very much, but if someone gets very angry with me for shooting them, I tend to have that negative feeling. I don't like the photo anymore. So.
How did you build your confidence shooting street photography here in Japan?
Well, I do a lot of traveling in India and in Southeast Asia. Before this, my big project was a novel set in India, so I was going back and forth to India, researching location and writing. I need to get the sensory kind of elements in the book, and I think I'm average as far as like shyness to, I think naturally I'm shy, so it's like it's hard for me to just go up like out of the blue to take someone's picture, without their permission, or to talk to them. I have to get psyched to do it, and part of that is just having good walking shoes and walking as much as I can. I highly recommend good walking shoes to everybody. Looks like you guys are doing good with that, but and then you get into, I think you find a groove. It's like a musician warming up, tuning their instruments, practicing a bit before the gig. It's similar to that. You start, there's like a peak, and then you get to be tired. You start warm, you peak with your energy, you're seeing, suddenly you can see. It's hard, it's like we're always seeing, but we're not always seeing, do you know what I mean? Like it's very hard. I mean, it's not always where our eyes really kind of open and everything becomes like revealed. But I think that happens in street photography, which is one of the reasons I love it so much. It's like it's a high. It's an incredible high when you're on and you can see it, and it's like being connected to the world, to society. And I think it's a great feeling.
So when you're shooting street photography, are you thinking about composition, or do you discover the composition afterwards?
Oh no, I'm very much thinking of composition, because if you don't get, if you have a great subject and the composition is not good, the background is noise, or there's so much, like let's just call it negative space. I think negative space is often disastrous. Well, not disastrous, but a big drawback for an image. So I'm always thinking about it, and that's why I often converse with my subject if I see them and I don't like the background. If I can see a background nearby, and I'll talk to them, and people say no, and then I say, oh, come on. And if you smile a lot, and they'll often say yes. So I recommend you to be a bit persistent. If someone says no, just don't. If they say no, try once more. Especially if it's really, really good subject, you try twice. But then if they say, look, I'm good. And you can feel it, like this person, there's no way. Then you just like, let it be.
So what are some just general street photography composition tips you would give?
Street photography composition tips, I'd say, is well, first off, you should go where you know the composition is going to be good, where you know you're going to get background. I often in Kyoto, Kyoto's famous for its temples, its gardens. I often walk in downtown because even though the city is kind of, it can be like Nagoya or Osaka or Tokyo, it's where the people are and where the characters often are, or people that I'm intuitively drawn to. I can't really explain why I photograph one person and not that person. It's just something that is really just personal, and it's personal for all of you, for who you decide to shoot. But I think start with your location, where you want to go, and just be always aware of your environment. And if you feel like you can talk to somebody that you see, and maybe some of you, there's a street photography rule, like you never talk to your subject. But again, I don't. I think you make up your own rules, and I think you should do that and not listen to conventional wisdom or how the masters did it or how anybody did it. You have to follow your own. But there's things that it's good to be aware of every possible method and technique that you can adapt to your own style. So.
Nice. Any other tips? Were those the big ones?
Hard to say more that off the top of my head, but if people have questions, I'd be happy to help or elaborate.
Yeah. So if you guys have any questions for Sean?
Yeah, do you use flash a lot?
Sometimes, yeah. All my images from the book are 100 ISO, so it's very slow. It's like if it's dark, it's going to be blurry, and so that's the only film I can use for this aesthetic. And so if it's dark, I use flash. But again, if I shoot people without their consent and I flash them, when I did that yesterday at a cafe, people give me like I know what you did smile. Smile back, and it's probably going to be fine. Yeah, and that's what happened yesterday. But I have nothing against flash. I think if it helps you. One of my good friends, Charlie Kirk, you guys probably know his work as 2Q Talks. He uses flash a lot, and I love his aesthetic and how he does, he creates his images. So, yes?
Would you say that being white in Japan is really helpful?
Yes, I would. Yeah, it does. It does. And I've often played, not tourists, because I do converse with them in Japanese, but I do kind of play like a aw shucks kind of. So that